Well, it's time for another Baldurs Gate Early Access video. We published one about 2 weeks ago updating you guys on some things we learned about the game. In this video, we're going to talk about romance as well as a couple other things and the delay of the game. First, let's take a look at the delay for Early Access. If you didn't know, Larian tweeted out yesterday that the game is indeed delayed for 1 week. It's going to be coming out on October 6th. As far as I know, the times for the launch remain the same. It's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 6th. So it's only been delayed exactly a week, which isn't that bad. Talking about romance for the game, there is going to be romance in Baldurs Gate 3. For those of you who missed that sort of feature in recent games like The Outer Worlds or whatever, it's going to be here. You're going to be able to romance your companions much the same way you could in like Mass Effect or Dragon Age. So if you're a fan of that, or even the Knights of the Old Republic games, and you want to be able to romance your companions, you're going to be able to do that. So that's great news. The system works kind of similarly to those games where it's not only what you say to your companions in dialogues, but also they're going to be analyzing what actions you take throughout the game, whether they align with alignments of those characters or the interests of those characters. And that's going to impact their overall relationship with you. And you can sort of get a feel for, how they feel about you while you're in camp. You can discuss with them things, and it's going to give you an idea of what that character is thinking about you. The camp is really where a lot of the intimacy of your companions come into play. A lot of personal dialogues take place there. And this is where you'll really get the opportunity to create a romance with a character. And Larian has even stated that the game is going to be M for mature, so there will be sex scenes in this game. As far as other things Larian has answered at the game, let's take a look at crossplay. If you own the game on Steam, or you own it on GOG, or you own it on Stadia, you can play with other players that are on different versions. If someone has it on GOG and you have it on Steam, or you have it on Stadia, they're going to be able to play with each other as long as you have the same patch version. They have noted that during early access, particularly the first couple of weeks, there may be a couple of delays between patches in between different systems. So you may not be able to play with them every single day or during that first couple of weeks. But after that, it should smooth out and the patches should be released for all platforms roughly around the same time. So you should be able to resume crossplay. Another thing people have been asking for is a physical collector's edition of the game. I know myself, I would love to have one. Larian has not confirmed this to be the case yet. They don't know if they're going to have a physical collector's edition. If I had to bet money, I'd say they'll probably have some after release, but I doubt they're going to be in very large quantity. Another interesting feature is that you're going to be able to change the distance between characters or, measurements in combat from imperial and metric units. So if you prefer meters or you prefer feet, who prefers feet? I don't know who does. But anyway, it doesn't matter which system you prefer. You're going to be able to toggle back and forth. So if you're an American, you can put it on feet, or if you're not, you can put it on metric. Another interesting thing that was mentioned is that you're going to be able to interchange your companions throughout the game at your camp, which I don't think is a big surprise to people. I think people expected this to happen, and it's not something that's shocking. But one thing I found particularly interesting is that they said that after the first act, you're going to have to commit. So I'm assuming that means that after Act 1 of the game, that you're going to have to take the companions that you've basically committed to and, have taken with you throughout the game, the most two, or maybe just choose the ones you want to bring with you. You're going to have to take a specific set of companions. One thing also that Larian was very, very clear about is that if you don't know anything about Dungeons & Dragons or Baldur's Gate itself, Baldur's Gate 3 is a new story, a new adventure with new characters. They obviously didn't want to go into too much detail about the story, but you don't have to have played the previous games in order to understand what is going on. They did say, however, that if you have played the previous games, you will get more out of the game. You'll be able to connect the dots and really see what's going on, how it links to the previous two games. But if not, you're going to have a fresh take on the story. Another important question, and the last question that I'm going to be covering here, is how are stat points distributed? How are your ability points distributed during character creation? If you didn't know, in old school D&D games, you'd have to roll your stats, or D&D tabletop, you'd have to roll your stats, and you could use what you got in order to make your character. It was kind of random, and you could keep re-rolling a certain amount of times or whatever until you got whatever you wanted. But in this game, you're going to be able to assign your points. This is kind of the take that modern D&D games have been taking, allowing people to basically skip the amount of rolls it would take to get exactly what they want. But they did say they may add the RNG roll at a later point to allow people to play that way if they want. Stay tuned for more Baldur's Gate 3 coverage as we inch closer to early access. October 6th is when we're going to be streaming the game on Twitch, so stop by and see us if you want. Have a discussion about the games, check it out if you're on the fence about it, and be sure to stop by the wiki if you have questions about the game.